Ruben's Abuela has quietly become one of the most important additions to Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, and the more the show leans into her presence, the clearer it becomes that she isn't just a fun side character. She's the closest thing the series has to a true replacement for Meemaw. Not a copy, not a carbon duplicate, but a spiritual successor who fills the same emotional and narrative role in a way that feels natural, earned, and surprisingly effective. Ever since Young Sheldon ended, there's been a noticeable gap where Meemaw used to live. She wasn't just comic relief, she was the family's pressure valve. Meemaw said the things no one else would say, cut through nonsense, challenge authority, and grounded emotional moments with humor that felt lived in rather than scripted. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage has spent much of its first 2 seasons figuring out how to function without that gravitational force, and Ruben's Abuela is the first character who truly steps into that space, without the show having to announce it out loud. What makes Ruben's Abuela work so well is that she operates on the same wavelength Meemaw did, but through a completely different cultural lens. She's blunt, observant, and unafraid to speak truth, especially when the younger generation is spiraling or lying to themselves. She doesn't soften reality to spare feelings, yet there's an unmistakable warmth underneath her sharp edges. That balance is exactly what made Meemaw iconic, and it's what allows Abuela to feel essential instead of intrusive. One of Meemaw's greatest strengths was her ability to see through Georgie. She knew when he was bluffing, when he was scared, and when his confidence was covering insecurity. Ruben's Abuela does the same thing, not just with Ruben but increasingly with Georgie as well. She watches him closely, clocking his ambition, his stubbornness, and his tendency to overextend himself. And when she speaks, it's clear she's not guessing. She's reading him like a book he hasn't realized is open. That's especially important in a show where Georgie is constantly trying to prove he's grown up. Meemaw used to puncture that illusion with a single sentence. Abuela does it with a look, a pause, or a remark that sounds casual but lands with precision. She doesn't lecture, she diagnoses. And because she's not biologically tied to Georgie, her honesty carries a different kind of weight. She has no obligation to protect his ego, which makes her insight even sharper. Another reason Ruben's Abuela feels like the perfect replacement is how she anchors the show's sense of realism. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage works best when it feels grounded in everyday life, work stress, money worries, family interference, and generational clashes. Abuela embodies all of that. She's lived a long life, seen cycles repeat, and understands consequences in a way younger characters simply don't. When she weighs in on a situation, it feels like lived experience talking, not sitcom wisdom. Meemaw filled that role by being the family historian, the person who remembered past mistakes and reminded everyone how easily things fall apart. Abuela does the same, often implicitly. She doesn't need to recount her entire backstory for the audience to feel it. It's present in her confidence, her skepticism, and her refusal to be impressed by surface-level success. That skepticism is crucial in a show where ambition, especially Georgie's, is often portrayed as both admirable and dangerous. There's also something deeply comforting about how Abuela interacts with Mandy. Meemaw had a complicated relationship with Mandy, often oscillating between judgment and support. Ruben's Abuela, on the other hand, approaches Mandy with a quiet understanding. She doesn't compete for control or authority. She observes, offers advice when necessary, and steps back when it's not her place. That restraint mirrors Meemaw's later season evolution, when she became less combative and more reflective. In many ways, Ruben's Abuela represents the idea that every family eventually finds a new version of what it lost, not the same person, but the same function. Meemaw was the moral compass who didn't pretend to be perfect. Abuela serves that same purpose, reminding the characters and the audience that wisdom often comes wrapped in humor, impatience, and a refusal to sugarcoat reality. It's also worth noting how seamlessly she fits into the show's tone. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage thrives on understated comedy rather than punchline-heavy jokes. Abuela's humor is situational, reactive, and rooted in personality. She's funny because she's honest, not because she's trying to be. That's exactly how Meemaw's humor worked, and it's a big reason fans are responding so positively to Abuela's presence. Perhaps most importantly, Ruben's Abuela gives the show emotional continuity. Even though Meemaw isn't there, the spirit of what she represented, resilience, blunt love, and generational wisdom, still exists. That continuity matters in a franchise built on long-term character growth. Without it, the show risks feeling disconnected from its roots. Abuela bridges that gap effortlessly. She also expands the world of the show rather than shrinking it. Instead of replacing Meemaw with another Cooper family figure, the series allows a new family and cultural dynamic to share that narrative space. That choice keeps the show from becoming insular and reinforces its core theme. Marriage isn't just about two people, it's about the families, histories, and voices that surround them. Ruben's Abuela isn't meant to overshadow Meemaw, and she doesn't try to. She honors what Meemaw stood for by embodying the same role in a new way. She challenges, supports, and grounds the younger characters without stealing focus. In doing so, she proves that Georgie and Mandy's first marriage didn't lose its heart when Meemaw exited the spotlight. It simply found a new one, beating just as strongly, in a different place. And if the show continues to trust that character, allowing her wisdom to guide moments of conflict and growth, Ruben's Abuela won't just be a replacement. She'll be remembered as one of the smartest evolutions the series ever made.